Hi there. So right from the get-go, my plan changed. The person I intended to interview actually bailed on me at the last second, so I ended up talking with Alex Ruiz. She's a close acquaintance of mine. I met her a couple years ago here at MSU. She grew up in Immokalee, Florida, and she went to a really big public high school, while I went to a tiny rural Catholic elementary school and then a slightly larger public high school. So we're both Catholic. Alex is Mexican American, and I grew up in a family with a Catholic German heritage. So it was really just interesting to see how our faith played out in different ways because of our backgrounds. So, for example, her extended family is much more involved in her faith and their community, whereas my family places more emphasis on our immediate relations, like my parents and my sisters. So Alex also talked about being a comadre, or godmother, to her friend's child. So even though she's in Michigan while the baby's in Florida, she plays a much larger role in the child's life, and especially his religious life, than my godparents did, which I thought was just an interesting distinction between maybe German and Mexican American culture. So, um, yeah, it's funny too, because actually when I was a kid, I didn't realize that there were any other religions. I thought that everybody was Catholic because everybody I knew in my life was Catholic. My family, my neighborhood, my friends, like everybody was just, that's what the religion was where I grew up. Alex, on the other hand, grew up in a much bigger town in a city. She actually said there were different churches on every corner in Immokalee, and so like an awareness of religious and cultural diversity was something that she's always been well accustomed to. Whereas for me, it was a bit of a shock, like, oh, there are other beliefs. It wasn't like I thought other beliefs were wrong, I just had no way to even conceptualize them as an option. So I guess in terms of her school, things were a bit different between rural Michigan and urban Florida. Kindergarten through fourth grades for me were all taught in one room in my elementary school, while her school was so big that there were 7 or 8 buildings on campus, plus several actually trailers that were used as classrooms too. She also talked about the local Catholic school that her friend went to. It teaches K through 12 and even houses a college. So one of the things that I noticed, I guess, about her educational experiences was that her school seemed to have a lot more opportunities and resources available to students, like the college nearby, or like if there was a daycare available for teenage moms. Um, it's not to say that rural education in where I grew up is like bad or lacking or anything. It's just a very different experience. So like I found it really nice to be in a classroom with students at other age levels in my elementary school. It made me more comfortable around older students, and it also gave us more time with the material. So like we could hear like what the fourth graders were doing when we were in third grade, and we could like review what the second graders were doing, and we could kind of learn that way. So yeah, then when we got to fourth grade and you were one of the big kids, it was your job to help the younger kids with their homework while the teacher was helping the other students. So like we had that opportunity. We'd already done stuff and heard what the teacher wanted them to do, so we could kind of help them out. So that was maybe one thing that we didn't have, that we had, that maybe a more urban school wouldn't have. Neither way is wrong. It's just interesting to see what kinds of things each system does for different students. So Alex maybe knew more about diversity, and she had more access to like different opportunities and resources, but I ended up learning a little bit more about like tutoring and like classroom stuff. So it was just really interesting.